Hello again, YouTube, and I'm back with another update video. I finished my load testing and my battery reconfigurations with the spare cells that I received. And so what I've got is all of these batteries. These are 19 cells. If you count them, obviously it's more than 19 cells, but every cell in parallel counts as a single cell. And the idea of having these parallel cells, as I said in my other previous videos, is to bolster the strength of weak cells. The weaker cells will be, if you put them in parallel, it will increase the amp hour capacity, and that, those two cells, in essence, they become one cell. And so I have, in function, or in essence, I have 19 cells. These cells are, again, as I mentioned in previous videos, these cells are between 25 and 30 years old. So, from that time, and they were in various states of, disrepair. Meaning these things were, they were not treated very nicely over the years. In their use, I guess they were just put in service, and it's people, didn't treat them, sweetly, so to speak. But anyway, after 30 some years, these batteries are they are in service. And also, to kind of give you an idea, right now I've got over 400 amp hours, just over 400 amp hours in this battery bank. Well, not in this one, but with these two combined, I have 400 amp hours, or over 400 amp hours. I finished my load testing, and I've already reconfigured the Whizbang Junior to indicate what my capacity is. It's essentially 400 amp hours. Now I'm dealing with a cloudy day today, so I'm not really getting a whole bunch. So I'm using my inverter charger to top off the batteries. So I'm at 89% state of charge, and you can see here at the trimetric. Trimetric is like 90%. My voltage. This is what's actually going through the battery bank. So I'm absorb charging because it is a cloudy day, and I ran it down to like 6% state of charge last night, last night, just to kind of test the load capability, or the amp hour capacity, and it was around 400, just over 400 amp hours. So these cells here are doing what I expect. They're doing nicely. And again, these are old cells. They are Edison ED240s. And so, obviously after 30 years, you're not going to, it'll be great to get full capacity after 30 years. But, obviously you're not going to get full capacity because these cells were not in pristine condition. So after reconditioning and taking a couple of cells and putting them inside of the battery bank, they're doing just fine. And for folks that have these type of cells, if you've got enough of them, or you can acquire enough of them, you can definitely put them in series. Like I have a 24 volt nominal system. It's basically a 24 volt system, and I had more than enough cells to accommodate a 24 volt system. To include the extras, so that I can put the cells in parallel. So, and these are I put these two cells, these are new, that I put two in parallel. And obviously you see the new copper pipe. These are two new cells I put in parallel too. Separately they were doing fine, but, in order to increase the capacity so that, they will perform just as well as these cells here, then that's when I put them in parallel. And so far they're doing just fine. With these nickel-based batteries, they work just great, and these nickel-based batteries, they work just great too. They're not, obviously they're not lithium or the saltwater batteries and stuff like that, but these cells work great. Oh yeah, one more thing, YouTube, as I was wanted to kind of mention. Last night I did my load test, and again I drove this thing down to a state of charge of like 6%, and so I've been testing with these nickel-based batteries, so you at least see exactly what their performance capabilities are. These nickel cadmium batteries, they are old, They are old. After 30 years, you see they are still functioning. If you see on my earlier videos, you'll see that I, looked at the serial number and I told you exactly what the date of manufacture of these batteries were. Now, how they were used, where they were at, whether were forced, use hard or salt, I don't know. All I know is these batteries. You've seen when I was pouring out the stuff. You've seen some of the conditions of the batteries, and so. But after 30 years or 25 to 30 years, obviously they're in my battery room here, and they're hooked up to my system and they're working fine in conjunction with these here. So when it comes to a question of longevity, then you have to judge for yourself. I'm not going to try to convince you one way or the other. I will just tell you my experiences with these cells and let you judge for yourself. Now, there is a bit of misinformation about nickel-based batteries. One YouTube commenter, viewer, said that these batteries are the nickel iron batteries, based on his research or something, that these nickel iron batteries, they only last 3 years if you use them every day. Well, obviously that's not true. When we talk about life cycles with these particular batteries, we're talking about, it'll be, if you use them heavy, if you use them hard, what happens is the electrolyte gets weaker. And, normally during the electrochemical process of these batteries charging and discharging, the potassium hydroxide does not get consumed. It does not get consumed. What leaves the batteries is water, in the form of gassing and stuff, like either through evaporation or gassing. The water just simply evaporates or, gets gassed out. But the thing is, sometimes the potassium hydroxide that's in the water also gasses out too. And so after a while, after so many cycles, what happens is, after 3,000 cycles, 5,000 cycles, or how many cycles that equates to how many years, you don't throw away the battery. Obviously, you saw me with these nickel cadmium cells. With these nickel cadmium cells, I had to change the electrolyte. You don't throw away the battery or the cell. You change out the electrolyte and the cycle starts over again. So that's what it means, when we talk about life cycles of, these batteries. These are not lead acid batteries, and, after 3,000 cycles, you typically, or 5,000 cycles, you throw away the lead acid battery, because the plates that make up the lead acid battery are part of the active material, and the plates just literally dissolve away after a while. And so that's what happens when you get a shorted cell. It's the plates. That's the with any type of battery chemistry, any type of battery, like the lead acid and the nickel cadmium on the nickel iron batteries, it's the plates. Okay, the plates are what either makes the battery work or causes the battery to fail. It is the plates. All right, it is not the electrolyte. The electrolyte is just a medium. All right, that which the electrons will flow through. The plates are the conductors that that provide the power so that the electrons will flow through the medium. Okay, there has to be some type of conductors, okay, in the material, and therefore, in this particular design, it is the nickel and it's the iron, and this one here, it is the nickel and it's the cadmium. Okay, so with this right here, after, if I use these batteries every day, really hard charging, okay, really using them, after so long, I will have to simply change out the electrolyte. After 3,000 cycles, you do not throw away the cell. All right, so I just wanted to kind of put that out there. The thing is, if you were saying, things about technologies and stuff like that, it's either you got to have your ducks in a row as far as your research, your documentation, and your understanding. You can have documentation all day long, but if you don't really understand what the document is saying, because, quite frankly, you have no experience with that technology, then, it's you're guessing, okay, and there is a very good chance that you're putting out inaccurate information. However, if you have an ulterior motive, okay, then you really don't care about the information you're putting out. You're you're sowing seeds essentially. You're sowing seeds, saying, hey, well, I don't trust these, I don't like these because I just don't like them, and I don't want you to like them either, so I'm going to give you misinformation. But I trust that that there's a lot of folks in the YouTube community, they can make up their own minds. Again, I'm not here to convince you either way. My channel is not a particular topic. It is what I'm interested in at the moment. Okay, if I had to have a topic or have something that relates to my channel, it is what is my interest at the moment. And in this case, it is alternative energy. I mean, it could be making ginger ale. Okay, so it is whatever my interest is at the moment. I have no specific mantra or something like this. And with these technologies, like the nickel cadmium batteries and the nickel iron batteries in my battery bank, and with my channel, I'm just simply trying to hey, give out information what I have learned. I'm not saying I'm an expert on any of these, but I can say I have experience with nickel cadmium cells. I can say I have experience with nickel iron cells. I can say that I have experience taking apart the nickel cadmium cells. I have experience of knowing exactly how to put them back together, and also to what the internal components actually look like, and then also reconditioning these cells to a point. All right, to a point. And so, but there are other people out there with a lot more experience. I'm just relating my own personal experience with my own battery bank. My system is not the perfect system. However, it is my system, and it works great. My battery bank is 400 amp hours that I can actually use. That's 11.8 kilowatts of stored power. My capacitor bank provides me the power to run anything and everything in my home. It provides the power, not the storage, the energy storage capability, but it does the power. It provides me with the power. These cells here cannot compete as far as in terms of performance with lithium ion cells. They are not designed to. These things are like mules that you take up in the mountains. They're not fast, okay, or burros that like the old miners used, or the trappers that use in the mountains, and for hard times they would have a mule or a burro or something like that. Or for instance, or these are like the oxen that you would use to plow a field. These things here are not fast, but they are strong and they are durable, just like mules and donkeys and oxen, that you would farm. Obviously horses are much faster. They're faster, and in a lot of cases they would be more efficient depending on the terrain and what you're trying to do. However, in the long run, hey, you can't beat an ox for strength. And so this right here, these batteries, I look at them in similar fashion. As I said, they are not built for serious performance. They are built for durability. And these batteries in and of themselves cannot compete with lithium technologies. All right, because lithium, it's a newer technology. They're very performance driven. They're very efficient. However, they do in fact have a lifespan. Yes, they do. All cells, even these, have a lifespan. Okay, but the question is, how long is that lifespan? Unfortunately, I haven't really found any documentation that tells me exactly how long lithium cells will last. There's a lot of speculation. I mean, with the Tesla Powerwall, I'm not talking about the DIY Tesla Powerwall. I'm talking about the actual Tesla Powerwall. I mean, it's guaranteed, from what I understand, from what I've been reading, it's guaranteed for 10 years. After that, I guess, it's a crapshoot. I don't know. They said, but they will guarantee it for, 10 years. Now, again, these cells cannot compete with that. However, in order, there's always, where there's a will, there's a way, right? In order for me to deal with that limitation, that's why I have this. Yes, did it cost me extra to build this thing? Absolutely. However, it's an investment. As far as I'm concerned, all of this is an investment. All right. With this right here, with my ultra capacitor bank, lithium technologies cannot compete with ultra capacitors. I'm sorry. They just can't. All right. They're very good, but for power density, you cannot compete with ultra capacitors. It takes another ultra capacitor to compete, because I can deliver all kind of power. That's why I have this danger sign here. Of all of my system, everything, of all of it, of the nickel-ion batteries, the wiring, the inverter, the connections with the charge controller, the disconnect switches. This thing here causes me more concern as far as fear. Okay, this thing right here, this ultra capacitor bank, yeah, because this is what I respect most out of the entire system, because this capacitor bank has the ability to deliver enough current that will kill you and 5 other people. Okay, so this is the point. So with this right here, I could run anything in my home, and I have run anything in my home. Whether it's a refrigerator, the freezer, blending, the dishwasher, the clothes washer, you name it, I can run with this thing. Ceiling fans, I got 3 ceiling fans, and I can run all of those at the same time with the refrigerator, the freezer, the dishwasher, a blender, and the washing machine, all at the same time if I wanted to. Yes, that will take a strain on the battery, okay, but from a power perspective, this will handle it. So that is how I dealt with the limitation, okay, of these batteries. These cells here are slow to give up current. Okay, they have a lot of energy storage, but they don't give it up that fast. Okay, they give it up at a certain rate. Okay, but you see, this right here will give me all the current that I need and then some. So again, these cells, they're not perfect, not by any stretch of the imagination. They're not perfect. Okay, they're not perfect. However, when this thing here goes down to 6% state of charge, 0% state of charge, I'm not sweating and saying, "Oh my goodness, my battery! I'm killing my batteries. I'm just dogging my cells." I'm not saying that. Okay, I'm not, I don't go to bed worrying if I've got this thing on off grid. I don't. Why? Because I know that these batteries here are designed for real serious deep discharge. There was a question, well, these things here, it was said, in a comment or so, these cells are not designed for off-grid applications and so forth. And I'm like, well, if you look at the applications, remote sites are off-grid. Okay, like for instance, remote telecommunications sites, remote railroad terminals or something like that, remote facilities. You can't get much off grid than that. And these cells were designed for that. Okay, they're designed for off-grid use. It kind of baffles me because they're not designed for off-grid. The very statement doesn't even make any sense to me. So I can only conclude that the one who made the statement has ulterior motives, or just wants to or has an axe to grind, or just wants to argue, or just, I don't know. So so stuff like that, I just have to say, I'm sorry, I can't. I can't get with that. That's just it doesn't make any sense to me. So I'll have to plead ignorance on that one and say, amen. I'll just move on. Okay. I'll let you believe what you believe and let you state your opinions, as long as it's done respectfully. And you can state your opinion, and I will respect your opinion. And we'll just leave it at that. And I'll let people make up their own minds. But anyway, folks, just want to kind of throw things out there to you. There are sites that you can buy these from. However, I do caution you, where you buy these, who you buy them from. There are some issues with certain vendors out there. As far as who where you buy them from. So I just simply caution you about buying new nickel-ion batteries from questionable distributors. And with these cells here, it's a crapshoot, folks. These cells are 25, 30 years old. You may get some. If you get some, make sure you get enough that there's some spares just in case you get a couple of bad ones, because there is the possibility you're going to get a couple of bad ones. So anyway, all right, YouTube, that's just my little chat, okay, on my batteries and why I've done what I've done in my progress. So I'm up to 400 amp hours, actual amp hours of both of these cells combined. I have the switch on both, and I have 2 charge controllers, the TriStar and the Midnight Classic, that will charge these batteries full in one day. If I've got clear sun, if I've got good sun, these batteries can be charged in one day. Both cells, both banks combined. So I have no issues there. All right, YouTube. Thanks a lot, and have an awesome new year. Hello again, YouTube. And this right here, I'm just going to put one more point. This is part of the manual that came with my nickel iron batteries. And there is this on this page right here. You see what I'm talking about as far as renewal of the electrolyte. And it says, please renew the electrolyte in the cell when the specific gravity of it has fallen before 1.160, and or the cell fails to work at the rated capacity, or the carbonation reaches 15% or higher. And it kind of goes into detail. It talks about what happens, that the density of electrolyte slowly decreases with a gradual loss of alkali caused by gassing taking place in the cell, or by accidental spillage and so forth. The alkylite may be contaminated with various impurities in the course of normal use. This makes it necessary to renew once every 5 to 10 years in the course of this period. Now, usually the specific gravity will have fallen, okay, to the lowest limit. Now, the key thing is, key point, 5 to 10 years. It doesn't say throw the battery away after 5 to 10 years. This is the manual that, that comes with the battery, and it goes into detail and ways to remove the electrolyte. Basically, and it goes, tells you how to do it, particularly. So again, renewal of the electrolyte. This kind of goes what I was saying before. Again, there's a lot of misinformation about these cells, and no, you don't throw the cells away. There comes a time based on this that the capacity will drop, or the performance of the cell will drop due to various means, or various situations. And again, it talks about, right here, if you can see it, going back here, it is necessary. This makes it necessary to renew once every 5 to 10 years. Okay. So again, before saying that these, after 3 years they're dead because the manufacturer blah blah blah, just bear in mind that there's a translation issue when sometimes between different countries. All right, and there's a lot of things get lost in the language translation. Okay, but even Edison himself, didn't say throw the battery away. He said change the electrolyte, and he says between 7 and 11 years or something like that. But anyway, just wanted to throw that out to you, YouTube, for those folks that may be questioning. This is not for the one that's that's being difficult or anything like that, but this is for those that they need credible information, as opposed to going to a website or a forum and misinterpreting the information and just putting it out there and saying, well, these batteries are dead in 3 years. Are you serious? But anyway, take care, YouTube, and again, have a good one.